Our live team coverage continues now. Drew Wilder is out in it on Capitol Hill with the latest from there. Drew?
Yeah, Jim, you mentioned the folks that have been working outside today. One of the guys that we talked to who was out working, I think, put it really well. He said it's like standing over a barbecue pit. You just can't get away from it. I mean, you see the Capitol building behind me. We're not too far away, and it has that kind of milky haze over it. But if you look a little bit farther over here, kind of off to the horizon, I mean, on a normal, clear day, all of these buildings are pretty crisp and clear. But right now, because of all of the smoke that's in the air, it almost looks like a mountain range with clouds between them. But that milky haze is causing a big health alert tonight, according to doctors, for both you and for your family. On your left, a view of the Washington Monument on a clear day. But on your right, our beautiful skyline veiled beneath a dense smoke that's reducing visibility today and making it dangerous to breathe. The federal government's air quality meter today showing conditions outside are very unhealthy.
You can taste the air.
That you can feel it's like kind of dense.
Magda Peterson works construction. She's in and out of her truck all day and says she's noticing the unhealthy air is wearing her down.
Even if I do like little work, like I realize that the air make me tired.
The thick smoke is blowing in from raging wildfires in Canada and bringing with it a serious health risk.
How serious is today's air quality on our health?
We're having very poor air quality that can cause significant issues with many people's breathing.
Dr. Ben Silverman says the risk is especially high for young children, older adults, and anyone with heart or lung issues. Auto mechanic Azar Ahmed got an alert from his doctor telling him he needs to wear a mask while working outside today because he has a heart condition and diabetes. But even with the mask, the thick, smoky air may prove too dangerous for him.
We'll see maybe another hour or so, and we'll close down today.
Over the next couple of days, doctors say to limit your time outdoors to 15 or 20 minutes at a time if possible, especially if you're out with pets or kids.
Being aware that your children may not be able to play outside for as long. They may need to do activities outside that are less strenuous, so maybe playing on a playground, not playing tag.
Our murky skies are a warning that the air outside is not safe to breathe. And Dr. Silverman says for most people, for healthy people, really, that if you spend 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes outdoors, you really shouldn't have any lingering effects at all. You might feel like your sinuses are flaring up, something in your throat, your nose. I'll tell you, my eyes have been getting a little itchy as I've been standing out here for about 15 or 20 minutes. But he says for folks who have heart conditions or lung conditions, if you start to feel shortness of breath or any pain in your chest at all, you need to call your doctor right away and get checked out.
All right, Drew Wilder. Drew, thank you. Some great information and tips for everyone.
The worst air quality in our area's history is a filthy first that carries an almost eerie familiarity. A stationary Ferris wheel, typically bustling boardwalks are scarce. Pedestrians protecting themselves with face masks. Sights we've seen before look strikingly different today.
What's very surprising this morning, we found that U.S. air quality was one of the worst, and in D.C. is the worst of the worst right now.
George Mason University researchers compiled worldwide data on air quality today that shows today the worst air to breathe in the entire world was the air outside our homes here in D.C.
You can feel like the heaviness in the air.
Heavier still, the feeling when server Jamaica Winter looks out of the window of her Old Town restaurant onto the patio. Quiet as COVID.
No patio service at all.
Right. I mean, normally at lunch, this place is full on the patio.
Yes, definitely on the patio.
Have you had a single table?
Area, no, not one at all.
Safer indoors again. Still, families strolled abbreviated ventures outdoors through the smoke enveloping the East Coast from wildfires burning in Canada. Something more common on the West Coast. Yet this Californian says what we're experiencing now is worse than anything he's seen in Cali.
As a comparative between where we live in LA and back here, we don't usually see it like this, and so pretty unfortunate with the fires up north.
It's rougher here today than it's been in LA for you?
Yes, definitely.
Lucky us. Another odd, though brief pause to aspects of our lives, and again a reminder that sunnier days lie ahead. Reporting in Northern Virginia, Drew Wilder, News 4.
And we are waiting for those days.
Drew Wilder joining us now. Drew, this is such a tragic story.
Oh, it's just incredibly heartbreaking. Leon, Erica, Virginia State Police say the driver shot first, sending a volley of bullets at state police. Police returned fire, shooting the driver and the woman who he's accused of abducting. I mean, just look at this Jeep. Now, we don't know that every single one of those is a bullet hole, though it certainly appears that most of them are. Tonight, we can tell you that the suspect is in critical condition, and the woman, an alleged kidnapping victim, is dead from apparent gunshot wounds. New video tonight shows Virginia State Police chasing a Jeep that took off during a traffic stop. Inside the Jeep, 34-year-old Michael Davis and 34-year-old Tatiana David. Just hours before the chase, New York State Police asked everyone to be on the lookout for the Jeep, believing Davis had abducted Tatiana. The police chase raced down I-95 through northern Virginia, the Jeep crashing multiple times before running off the road in Prince William County. Police dispatch audio captured what happened next.
We need a shield. We need a shield. We hear the shots fired.
Both Davis and Tatiana were shot. Police say he's in critical condition, and Tatiana was found dead from an apparent gunshot wound outside of the car. Tatiana's brother, Emmanuel Espada, tells us that he is still in disbelief.
I'll never have that energy. I'll never be able to speak to her on FaceTime. I'll never get to see who she's really meant to be in this life. And it's not fair. She shouldn't have had to die so young.
Killed at just 34 years old, the day after she was allegedly kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend on her birthday. The two have a 4-year-old son together who she has custody of. Emmanuel says Davis has a history of domestic violence against Tatiana and their son.
Her son, right before this, was kidnapped for 6 months by Mr. Davis. Oh, yeah. And before that, he tried to kidnap both of them. This is the reason she moved away. He kidnapped them both by gunpoint.
News 4 is still working to obtain details of Davis's criminal history. Emmanuel says Tatiana's son is safe with the family tonight and says their family will keep the boy far away from his father should he, the accused captor, survive the shootout that his ex did not survive while he held her captive. Just such a sad story. So you guys, it's protocol for Virginia State Police that the officers that were involved in that shooting, they're going to be on administrative leave while all of this is investigated, and then we'll go from there.
The only way this could have been worse is if the son had been with them in that car at the time.
I can't even think about that.
Yeah, but with the bullets flying in both directions, do we know who actually shot Tatiana?
Right, that is a good question, and that is one of the key parts of this investigation. We've asked Virginia State Police for an interview, and the spokesperson says they aren't doing any interviews right now. Police say Davis shot at officers first, and they returned fire, but police did not ever indicate that they thought Davis had shot at Tatiana. But like I said, it's still being investigated. Though I've obtained a copy of VSP's, this is a 12-page use of force policy, and I want to draw attention to one section in particular where it says, in determining if a sworn employee's use of deadly force is proper, among other things, whether the subject of the use of deadly force, so in this case, the person with the gun, possessed or appeared to possess a deadly weapon. So in that case, it's suggesting that use of deadly force could be authorized if the subject has a weapon and appears threatening.
And there was a gun located in the vehicle.
But this is so nuanced because here we have two people who were shot by police. One of them had a gun, and as far as we know, the other one didn't, and she was a victim of an alleged abduction.
Just such a terrible story all the way around.
Reporter Drew Wilder joins us live with more on what this would mean for families and the likelihood that this measure would even make it to President Biden's desk. Drew?
Yeah, Sean, I mean, this is such a hot topic, and parents are going to have to think hard about this one. Again, right now, it's only a proposal, but there is a bipartisan group of senators pushing this legislation, so that might be a pretty good signal that a massive change to social media use in our country is on the way. The ever-evolving age of online likes and comments may soon evolve again, with a bipartisan group of senators introducing legislation to ban children under 13 from social media and require parental consent for children under 18 to have their own social media account.
We are now more than a decade into the largest epidemic of teen mental illness on record, and we do know what's driving it.
Scrolling feeds is feeding teenagers increased anxiety and depression, according to the CDC. Dr. Jashawn Mance-Early is a clinical psychologist and associate psychology professor at Howard University.
And I hear a lot of young people in my private practice often say how they feel like they are underachievers or they should be doing more. And it's because they're comparing themselves to a young person who has become a social media influencer.
Lawmakers want to limit social media's reach with the age restrictions and also by eliminating teen exposure to the algorithms that tech companies use to keep us scrolling.
And there's just things they see that kids shouldn't see.
Elisa Martinez is a parent who thinks some aspects of social media need to be reeled in. Parent and grandparent Rose Allen wonders, though, if it could be a bit of government overreach.
I'm on the fence. I mean, I don't like the government banning anything, but I think social media for kids is not a good thing.
The debate is likely to ramp up soon as lawmakers anticipate the Protecting Kids on Social Media Act could be introduced as early as this week.
I have sat across from a father who showed me the last picture of his beautiful daughter who died by suicide the next day. Y'all, enough is enough.
Shortly after this bill was announced today, a tech-backed industry company called NetChoice slammed the legislation, saying that this would lead to widespread data collection and retention, and suggested that that would be a major privacy and security issue for all Americans, because this legislation puts the responsibility on the social media companies to properly ID and get age verification from anybody who's signing up for a social media account.
And Drew, that certainly brings up the whole question of how would Facebook or TikTok or anybody like that actually verify someone's age? Because right now, all you have to do is just sort of click a box to say you are who you claim you are.
Right, it's pretty easy to do right now, and there's absolutely no verification process in place. However, this legislation would set up a verification process. It would take a couple of years, but the legislation is looking to the Secretary of Commerce to come up with a sort of online ID. Think of it as having like your state ID through the federal government on a website. So parents could register their kids, confirm their kids' ID with the federal government. The federal government would hang on to that data just like they hang on to your driver's license information, right? And then parents could use that resource from the federal government online, connect it to a social media account, and help get their kids online. But this is a long ways down the road. That piece of this process would be at least 2 years after this legislation is signed, if it's signed. Reporting live tonight in Northern Virginia, Drew Wilder, News 4.
Drew, thank you.